northern England, parts of Northern Ireland as well as southern Scotland. Further south, a settled start to the day, but it will become increasingly unsettled through the day as this band of rain and some snow and hail behind it pushes southwards, moving into parts of northern England, Wales and further south later on. So as I said, we do have a wind warning and are expecting some disruption due to the weather, so please check before you travel. It will be a mild day though, where we do see all this cloud and rain, highs of 14 or 15 degrees for parts of the Midlands. A different feel to come on Friday, a very chilly day, particularly compared to recent days. So rain will fall as snow to relatively low levels across parts of Scotland. There'll also be showers of hail as well. Some brighter weather here and there, particularly for central areas, but the best of the brighter weather is to come for Saturday. That's looking like the drier day of the weekend. It will still be chilly though. Bye-bye.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Peter Mandelson. Yes, of course, every single front page in the country is talking about Peter Mandelson and the Prime Minister's decision to appoint him as ambassador, given that today the advice to the Prime Minister has been revealed, and it is pretty damning on Keir Starmer's judgment, isn't it? Also, this man had the cheek, the absolute nerve to demand £500,000 in payments out of your back pocket and a dignified return to Britain. That's all coming up next.
It's a prize package worth over £92,000. There's a totally tax-free £25,000 in cash that you'll be able to spend on anything you like this year. Plus, you'll also get to drive away in a brand new Benevan 122 camper van. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, this latest 2026 model comes fully loaded with everything you'd expect. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB Newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you. Bulletins on GB News,
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Good evening, it's 11 o'clock. I'm Alex Armstrong and this is Patrick Christys. Tonight's late edition, breaking this evening.
The Prime Minister has taken responsibility for Peter Mandelson's appointment as ambassador to the United States. He has acknowledged it was a mistake and has apologized, not least for believing Peter Mandelson's lies.
That's right, the Peter Mandelson files have indeed dropped. At least a few of them have today. And it's really not looking good for Keir Starmer. They have revealed that he was warned Mandelson had a close relationship with Epstein after his conviction for child sex offences. But there's more.
I am sorry. Sorry, and sorry.
There's going to be a few more of those, isn't there? Turns out the Prince of Darkness, Peter Mandelson, requested more than £500,000 of your money in severance pay. What an absolute nerve that man's got. In other news...
Over the past 11 days, our military has virtually destroyed Iran.
That's right, the FBI has warned Iran is plotting an attack on California, believe it or not. And that was because Iran is ramping up the war, and we're not sure whether they can fire these drones from the Pacific Ocean or not. But if they do hit civilian infrastructure, I'm sure things will rapidly change in that war. And also this evening.
I want to know why he's allowing this to happen. Why he's allowed my daughter to be taken from me. And why is he not stopping this?
That's right. At a GBNews exclusive, the mother of Rhiannon White, the woman who was tragically murdered by a hotel illegal migrant last year, has spoken to this show this evening and told us not one single person, not one person from this government has reached out to apologise. Also on the show...
are great British banknotes produced by the Bank of England, and they have on them giant figures like Winston Churchill, and yet they're proposing we replace people like him with a picture of a beaver.
This country is honestly mad, isn't it? Winston Churchill, you know, the war hero, one of the greatest Britons ever, is set to be replaced by maybe a beaver or a hedgehog or perhaps a pigeon on our £5 notes. And finally, I'm going to be speaking to the world watercress eating champion who, get this, doesn't even like watercress. That'll be a fun one. All right, and joining me this evening... As I was saying, joining me this evening, journalist and broadcaster Nina Mishkov is here, director at Popular Conservatives Mark Lizzlewood's joining me again, and comedian and GB News superstar Steve Allen is here too. But before we get cracking with a very big, there's a lot of variation in our front pages, we're going to be speaking to Sam Francis first with your news bulletins.
You get it all on GB News. Watercress and war. The war in the Middle East. Well, it has entered its 12th day, with fighting widening across the region and threatening global energy supplies tonight. In the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most critical oil routes, 3 commercial ships were attacked today after Iran warned it could target vessels passing through the channel. G7 leaders are now exploring naval escorts for commercial shipping in the Gulf to keep the route open. And as oil prices are surging, 32 countries have agreed to release 400 million barrels of emergency reserves, the largest coordinated oil release in history. Well, earlier today, the President Donald Trump said that the US won the opening phase of the conflict and claimed Iranian forces were overwhelmed in just the first hour.
Over the past 11 days, our military has virtually destroyed Iran. They no longer have radar. They don't have anti-aircraft equipment. They don't have anything. Their missiles are down 90%. Their drones are down 85%. We're blowing up the factories where they're made left and right. And frankly, nobody has ever seen anything like it.
Well, the fighting is also intensifying tonight on the ground. These are just some of the explosions that have been taking place in Beirut. Well, in the Lebanese capital, Israel says it is beginning an extensive wave of strikes tonight on Hezbollah positions in the southern suburbs, and Iranian attacks have also been reported across the Gulf, including Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, the UAE, and 2 drones fell near Dubai airport, injuring 4 people. Here, the government says that lobbying rules and access to ministers will be reviewed following the Lord Peter Mandelson scandal. Newly released documents have warned of reputational risks linked to Mandelson's relationship with the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein before his appointment as Britain's ambassador to the United States. The 147-page dossier, published after pressure from MPs, shows Mandelson requested more than £500,000 in severance. Ministers finally agreed a £75,000 taxpayer-funded payout when he was sacked in September. The Conservatives are now demanding that Mandelson return that money and that the government publish the remaining files in full. And the Home Secretary has approved a police request to ban the Al-Quds Day March in London over fears of serious public disorder. The Met Police warned the scale of protests and counter-protests posed a significant risk amid tensions in the Middle East. Organisers, though, insist the annual march is peaceful and a pro-Palestinian demonstration that they say will instead be held as a static protest. Those are the latest headlines. More from the Newsroom 9:30 tomorrow morning. Now, though, it's back to the late edition.
Okie dokie, shall we go through your front pages together? Let's go to the Daily Express first. Prime Minister was warned on reputation risk of hiring Mandelson. The Daily Mirror. Mandelson demanded £500,000 payoff. The Guardian. PM was told of reputation risk over Mandelson to Epstein. The Sun. For Pete's sake, PM. The Telegraph. Starmer ignores top aides over Mandelson. The Metro. £500,000 to walk away. The Independent. Mandelson papers. Starmer did ignore Epstein warnings. The iPaper. Mandelson was shown secret files before weirdly rushed vetting. The Mail. Not fit to lead the country. The Times. PM flouted Mandelson warnings. OK, that is your front pages. Not unsurprising, of course. Should we start with the nerve of this man? £500,000. £500,000, Steve. That's what he was demanding to walk away. On the front page of the Daily Mail, Mark Littlewood just pointed this out to me. Basically, what they're saying on the front page of the Mail here is this. The amount was almost twice what Mandelson was contractually entitled to. But Whitehall sources said it was far less than the £547,000 he was demanding for a departure his lawyers said had permanently damaged his employability. I mean, yeah. I'm speechless. Take it away, Steve. Take it away, please.
It's brilliant, isn't it? Imagine having that sense of hubris that you think you deserve. I sometimes do a bad show, and as people on social media will tell me, and I drive home feeling terrible. I don't drive home thinking, I want to be paid extra for this. I've never caused a scandal that could bring down a government and gone, oh, where do I get mine? I better get some of this trousers, some of this money. I mean, in terms of his re-employability afterwards, by the time you've already had to resign twice in shame, it feels like you're Teflon on that anyway, so I'm sure he'll get some sort of a job back. But we're all sat here as normal humans thinking, how do you have that mindset where you think you deserve it? Well, it's the same mindset that gets you the job in the first place. Do you know what I mean? I imagine in the Labour Party he was seen as some sort of original cast member and was treated as some sort of special person to be parachuting into this mission. And therefore, you know, I'm sure they all thought he was so Teflon they'd all get away with it. As I've said before, no one thought they'd have to deal with this because they never thought the files would come out that would shine daylight on this story. They all thought it would be absolutely ignorable, and it's very much not.
Yeah, what do you think, Nina?
I think that he has the same mindset as somebody else not too far from this problem, Donald Trump. Donald Trump would be the sort of man who would have those sort of cojones, as they say, to ask for £500,000 if he was in that similar situation. He would lie blind. He would deny everything. He would never admit anything. And I think you can equate Trump to Mandelson.
I guess the only difference here is that Keir Starmer has appointed Mandelson, and therefore the buck stops with Keir. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense, and he has admitted it. He's taken responsibility for it, and he's apologised several times.
Do you think that's enough, Nina? Do you think that apology in this situation is warranted, or do you think he actually he's lost the confidence of his party and the public, and therefore should do the right thing?
He took a fantastic gamble in appointing Mandelson. It was a huge risk, but there are people who thought that it was a creative appointment. You know, you set a thief to catch a thief. You know, it's a snake to catch another snake, and actually terms, as I mentioned slightly earlier, that what he actually achieved in the short time that he was there was very, very positive. I mean, his was the idea of, giving the invitation to be opened at the White House in front of everybody for the state banquet, etc., etc. He got us a decent trade deal. And, generally it was very positive. And if there hadn't been these files, we would never have known. He would just have gone on and on and on.
Well, quite, but that's rather worrying, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
To start with the payout thing, OK, partly it's impossible to get your head around the cojones on Mandelson. You've just been fired in disgrace, and your opening line is, all right, it's a fair cop, but I'd like more than £500,000, please. But worse than that, the response is, well, how about 75,000? As if there's a negotiation going on. Yeah. The response should have been, if the Mail are correct, actually, we've looked through your contract and you are entitled to X number of pounds. That's what you're getting. They've apparently decided to double that for some reason. Now, look, OK, saving 30 or 40 grand is a rounding error on the public accounts. But I can't understand the other side of the ledger here. He's phoned up, he's fired in disgrace. He makes an opening bid for a large amount of taxpayers' money, and he's still given more than he's legally entitled to. Why?
There's some very interesting questions around that. And why was he paid double his contractual entitlement?
Right, that's exactly my point.
Well, that's what they're alleging.
We've got to assume that what we're reading here is true rather than fabric.
Right, but let's assume it's true. With a pinch of salt.
But let's assume it's true. Otherwise, we can't really discuss the front pages.
Let's assume that. I'm working on something here that I think might back that up. But let's see. Of course, in this case, let's assume that the double payout is correct and he's been given more. Steve, what would be the reasoning, do you think, behind giving Peter Mandelson more than his contractual entitlement?
I would think this is exactly the same. You know, we were talking about money given to the guy who was being deported, and in the last minute he said, like, oh, I don't want to go, and all of a sudden he got extra money. And the reasoning is, oh, we want you to go quietly. I think this is what's happening here. Because, for me, it comes down to this idea that it was probably like a scene from a classic film where Starmer said, we need a man like you on this mission, but if it all goes wrong, the British government will deny all responsibility. And they can't, because the files have come out. So they probably want to make sure there's no turbulence caused by Peter Mandelson, who, I imagine, knows more than we... Well, he must know more than we know, because there are all of the important files haven't come out yet. The fact that we've got all of the files that the police have gone through and went, there's nothing of interest here, and we've got those. The rest of the files that are being
going to be hot.
Of course, the police aren't going to be interested in the dull ones. All the good stuff is still waiting to come out, and that's what Peter Mandelson will know.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
Well, look, I'll just read this out. This could be of interest, it might not be, right? I'll just read you. This is from Dr Kieran Mullen, MP, who's, of course, Shadow Tory Minister. He's posted this from the files, and it's inside the Peter Mandelson files. We've confirmed that. And this is from the Interim Chief People Officer, HR Directorate, in the Foreign and Commonwealth and Development Office. And in this part of the files, it says this, and this is from Mark Powell, who is the Interim Chief People Officer here. He's obviously looking at Mandelson's case and the payout, or perhaps that, at least from what we can see. And Mark writes, there is a potential that, absent a positive indication, Peter goes public on some of his claims, so there is some urgency. What claims could Peter Mandelson possibly have? Now, of course, thinking about what this chief people officer would be doing, this interim officer would be doing, would be perhaps negotiating Peter's settlement or his entitlement, his contractual entitlements here. Obviously, this is all speculation, but this is a letter confirmed or a part of the files this evening. Nina, I'll come to you. Is there anything are we looking into too much here?
I don't know. What could there be that could come out about, say, Keir Starmer or other people in Number 10? Because that's who the government is protecting, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't see...
But if Peter Mandelson says, I never lied to Keir Starmer, then all of a sudden we're in a very costly to Keir Starmer discussion, front pages for ages. If he doesn't say that, then it's less of a problem. So I don't know how much money they think that's worth.
If you connect the front page of the Mail, which says that Mandelson got double his entitlement, with, you see some suggestions like this in the files, which, Peter, if quotes, Peter goes public on some of his claims, so there is some urgency. There is a potential, Peter goes public on some of his claims, so there is some urgency. That would perhaps indicate that this negotiation between Peter Mandelson and the government had somewhat been, as they said, some urgency behind it, so that there was a settlement. As part of an entitlement in your settlement, you're normally told, if you say a word, we'll take you to court. That's part of your entitlement. Having done many of these in my business career, I understand how these work, Mark.
Yep.
Interesting wording, though.
It absolutely is. And let's bear in mind here, that won't apply to anything that pertains to national security, because he can't suddenly decide he's going to release state secrets. He would face colossal penalties for that anyway, being breach of the Official Secrets Act. So that would be moot. You don't have to pay an ex-ambassador to not release highly sensitive national security material. So one presumes it's not material that pertains to national security. So what could it be? So the urgent follow-up question in Parliament ASAP is for Kemi or any MP to table the question, did the settlement agreement with the ex-ambassador include any clause of non-disclosure? And if so, why and about what?
Let me read some more from you. I'm just getting this now, so I'm going to read this out for you. Beg your pardon for not looking at the camera while I do this, but it says here, this is from Mark Powell, the same person I just read this out a moment ago to you. Please find attached a note of a call I held with Peter Mandelson this afternoon regarding his employment contract. He has sought advice. During the conversation, he intimated, indeed, this had been from senior counsel, a KC specialising in employment law. His argument heavily focuses on the reasonableness of the PM's decision. There is some carefully placed language around the public implications of not reaching a settlement. I'll just repeat that. There is some carefully placed language around the public implications of not reaching a settlement and the nature of an employment tribunal case. I have discussed this with the PUS Permanent Under Secretary. Very interesting, which of course links to what we're talking about here with this email where there is some urgency. Peter goes public with some of his claims. Very interesting. Of course, we don't know. We don't know what these claims... We could only purely speculate, and I wouldn't like to do that because it wouldn't be fair. But it shows here there's been some worry in my... If I'm looking at this from a bird's eye view, and having been in business when this happens, and there's someone in the business they think is difficult, but also might have a lot of information, this is a business-like transaction. They are worried about some fallout from Peter Mandelson going, I've got something... I'll go public with it unless you meet my demands, Mark.
Yeah, that's the only inference I can draw from this, because I say the contract with somebody who's appointed to a position of that sensitivity would already cover everything else, right? You don't need to pay off ambassadors to not tweet out the nuclear launch codes, right? That's part and parcel and covered by the employment contract anyway. So it has to pertain to something that isn't a matter of national security, because you can't just blow the whistle on that. So, I'm not going to speculate, but the claims one assumes have to be of a political or embarrassing nature of some sort, not pertaining to any matter of security. And if a settlement has been reached in which he's been paid twice as much as to which he was legally entitled to, presumably the consideration for that is that he has agreed some non-disclosure arrangement. That's what one would infer from all of this. And if so, what's it about? It seems to me this is the most obvious parliamentary question next, as soon as it can be tabled, because...
Yes. I was going to say, well, if Kemi Maidenot's asking the questions, I wouldn't guarantee that. I mean, today she went on the price of fuel at the pumps.
Yeah, but this was released after PMQs.
I know, but there were many things she could have talked about out of the Iran war.
I mean, Alex Burkhart's been the lead for the opposition on this, so I expect that the next opportunity that he gets, he will table a question on this. Could be a written question, could be when, in whatever format this comes up for debate, but that has to be the question. Is it true? We need to know, is it true that more taxpayers' money than was necessary was given to Mandelson in severance in order to prevent Mandelson making certain claims? Is that true? And if so, what did those claims pertain to?
And indeed, why was he given double the entitlement?
Well,
which is
you have to have done something in return.
Yeah, because that to me shows there's a negotiation which he has been partially successful in holding a little bit of power over the government. If the government was so confident he had nothing to say, they would have gone, no, you're getting what
you're getting the minimum.
You're getting your minimum, go away. But obviously, something to be worried about there. Perhaps. Who knows? Now, listen, Lord Mandelson has not responded to previous requests for comments, but we understand that prior to his arrest, his position was that he had not acted criminally and did not act for personal gain. All right, coming up in just a moment, I'm going to be speaking to the world watercress eating champion. He doesn't even like watercress. This is Patrick Christys tonight, late edition with me, Alex Armstrong.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Well, I think this is a symptom of a larger issue. We do have a problem in the UK. It's not as severe as Germany. I think in Germany, they're saying workers take about 15 days a year.
Wow.
Whereas in the UK, it's about 4. And that's the private sector. In the public sector, if we were to focus on that, they see up to about 10 days, etc., per worker. So we're losing a lot of time here, and there's a disparity. So when we say the UK actually isn't as bad as Germany, we are bad in certain respects, our public sector. Realistically, we do need to crack down on it, and it will only be made even more hard, or the system will be even more abused, just because in the Employment Rights Act, we are seeing that statutory sick pay, before you had to wait like 3 days in employment, now it's from day 1. So it's a minor change, which will still see the same results. But again, we're making it that much easier for people to abuse the system. We already have very generous welfare payments as well. And it's part of a whole kind of like worklessness culture that we're developing here in the UK.
Reese, let's bring you in at this stage. Do you think we need to ban paid sick leave in the UK?
I mean, I'm with the Germans on this one, Ellie. As a small business owner, I think roll it out. I think there's now this common culture where calling in sick becomes the normal, where let's go back to, when it was a last resort. I think that we see this common misconception as well of, can I work from home today? As if, we can work at 40, 50% occupancy from home rather than coming into the office and completing a full shift.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show Live, every night at midnight.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
GB Loyalty Points is here. They're our way of saying thank you for spending time with GB News. Through commenting on your say, voting in You Decide polls and shaping the debate, you can earn GB Loyalty Points. Unlock rewards, reach milestones and climb leaderboards. Don't just watch our programmes, come and be part of them. Get started by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/loyalty points.
Welcome back to Late Edition with me, Alex Armstrong. Listen, the world watercress eating champion has admitted he actually hates it. He hates watercress and he dreads the competition every year. 58-year-old Glenn Walsh has become something of a local legend in Hampshire after winning the title at the town's annual Watercress Festival 17 years in a row. But despite his record-breaking run, Walsh says the leafy green is far from his favourite food, describing it as peppery, stalky, and not really enjoyable. Top man. Instead, he credits his success to having what he calls a big gob and large hands, plus a fiercely competitive streak that keeps him coming back. Well, last year, around 20,000 people, wow, that's a lot of people, turned out for this festival, which celebrates the start of the UK's watercress season, and it returns again on May the 17th. And guess what? Joining me now is the man himself, watercress world champion, watercress eating world champion, should I say, Glenn Walsh. Glenn, thanks for joining me this evening. I have to ask you, Glenn, what got you into this in the first place?
That's a good question. It was a long time ago now, 2002. When the first festival happened, it was just a celebration of because Alresford is the watercress centre of the world, basically. You know, they at the moment they do so many bags every week. You know, as 500, well, 500,000 a week go in the whole country. So yeah, it's quite interesting. But it happened back then, and it wasn't an eating competition then. It was quite a small event, and it was just a case of the rugby boys after a few beers going, we've got all this green stuff, what are we going to do with it? And we thought, well, let's eat as much as we can. Let's have a go at that. And that didn't end up very well at all. And then after that, we decided, let's be a bit more sensible and have 80 grams and eat it as quick as you can. And that was a little bit better.
Yeah, that sounds a little bit more reasonable. But Glenn, you hate it. Why do you hate watercress? Go on.
I'll never say I hate it. The fact is, I've said before, it's like a condiment. A sprig in a ham sandwich is gorgeous. It's a bit like a little bit of mustard, a little half bit of teaspoon of mustard in a sandwich. Good. You eat the whole jar of mustard, you're in a world of hurt. A bit like you eat a whole bag. It's so peppery and stalky. It does put you off. And plus, it's a superfood. You only have to have it once a year anyway.
Yeah. Well, you get your fill, don't you, in May? Glenn, are you going to go back for another win?
I've got to go for it. I really have to. You know, you've always got to give it a go. I'm competitive anyway. I can't play my rugby anymore. So you've got to do something, haven't you? So.
Fair play, Glenn. Listen, thank you so much for joining me this evening. Good luck. Come back to us when you've won another year. How about that? We'll look forward to it.
I'll be pleased to come back on, honestly.
Fantastic stuff, Glenn. We love to see it. Good luck, and we'll see you very soon. There you go. Big hands, big mouth. He's right. There you go. We've seen it there. Evidence for you. Nothing without evidence on this channel. Glenn Walsh, thank you so much for joining me. Right, listen, should we go back to the news?
I was going to say, it's not rocket science.
Oh, there she goes. She's on. Anyone else got any watercress puns? Anyone got any salad puns?
Can't be that, no.
Steve, come on, you got to pull something out of
Can't be that. Can't be rocket science.
You're being very prickly there. Right, OK, let's... sorry, that was a really bad attempt at some sort of leaf pun. Right, should we just get on with some news?
Turn over a new leaf. That would have been it. Oh, too late.
Do you know what? Listen, I haven't been off air for, 8 days now. I think I'm living in some sort of weird simulation these days. So, right, so let's talk about some news. The Daily Telegraph. Ratcliffe. This war is Miliband's wake-up call. And this is the bottom right-hand corner there of the Daily Telegraph. The Iran crisis is a wake-up call for Ed Miliband that should prompt him to rethink his approach to the North Sea, Sir Jim Ratcliffe has said. Writing in the Telegraph today, the INEOS boss called on the Energy Secretary to approve 2 new gas developments, the Rosebank and Jackdaw fields, and allow further exploration. He says our strategic defence capability is totally undermined just when we need it most. Without reliable supply of energy, the country is crippled. He's got a good point, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Steve?
He's actually now in this third group, and this is what it's like being me in life. I see most issues have 2 different camps who argue against each other, and I think they're both wrong. So what you've got is people who think, like, oh, we need to be eco-friendly, we should never touch another... If you go anywhere near some gas or oil, it's an absolute nightmare. You've got the other side of it who think that, e-cars are going to kill us all. It's ridiculous. These wind turbines are going to ruin the planet. Clearly, what you want to be able to do is use what you have available to you in the most cost-efficient way to move forward to a place where you can build some renewable stuff. Solar panels eventually are going to be better than everything. Just because when the tech's there are no moving parts. It's not like wind turbines. You get all energy comes from the sun, just a long way round. Either it was 300 million years ago, which cheered up a dinosaur, which then became oil, or it's turning up now and it makes the wind happen. The only slight example for someone tweaks is nuclear processes. But there's no point getting to that outcome by pricing yourself out of everything. No point ruining an economy to get there, because the worst thing you can do is make energy more expensive, because it's in absolutely everything. It's in driving whatever you buy from where it was made to where you're going to buy it. Everything else you do requires energy. So actually, this is the right thing. Use our natural resources to make it cost less, and some of the money we save, make yourself a good solar panel.
It's very interesting, isn't it? Because when you actually speak to most people, they're not anti-green energy. They are anti-being paid. They're anti-paying more than they need to for technology that currently isn't quite there yet. And I think, Nina, and please tell me what you think. I'd love to know what people you speak to think. Do you think that we're rushing the green energy transition too quickly, that we're actually damaging ourselves, like what Sir Ratcliffe is saying there, essentially, is that we're punishing ourselves in a time when we really do need this oil, perhaps?
You know, first of all, I'd like to say I love it when Steve uses his scientific brain. No, I am in the middle like that too. I mean, we drive a petrol car. I don't want to have an electric car. If I was forced to have something, I'd have a hybrid. So what we're talking about is a hybrid situation. And I think, you know, and I remember all those years ago, it was Scotland's oil, and we were very happy to have it. When I was, you know, I'm half Scottish and I was born there. So no, I'm completely with Steve on that. We should, as you say, use what we have and move towards a future which is going to be better for us.
I'm not in the middle on this. I think I'm thinking of setting up a campaign group called Just Start Oil. Drill, baby, drill.
Orange, perhaps, on the streets, pull yourself up the road, Mark.
Where I am with, I think, Steve and Nina on this, is this should be a technological challenge, not a political one, basically. I don't know what our energy sources are going to look like in the future. Maybe it's solar. Maybe somebody cracks nuclear even better than we have at the moment. I don't know. Maybe some brilliant scientist finds that we can power cars off tangerine juice. I have no idea what the technological breakthrough might be, but we should have a competitive market trying to find it. Meanwhile, use your natural resources. We are blessed with petrol and gas. We should be drilling for it and using it and getting bills down.
Yeah, hydrogen's another hydrogen cars is another one we spoke about before. There we go. But listen, coming up in just a moment's time.
I want to know why he's allowing this to happen. Why he's allowed my daughter to be taken from me, and why is he not stopping this?
In a GB News exclusive this evening, the mother of Rhiannon White, the woman who was tragically murdered by a hotel migrant last year, has spoken to us this evening and told us not one single person from the government has reached out to apologise or speak to her. This is Patrick Christys Tonight Late Edition with me, Alex Armstrong, and that's next.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update, brought to you from the Met Office. Strong winds to come on Thursday, blustery rain will bring some difficult travelling conditions, but it's going to be mild for now. It is turning colder by the end of the week. Into this evening, this area of low pressure up to the north will push in these weather fronts to parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland, bringing a very damp night here. We'll also see some of that cloud over spilling from that weather front into parts of Wales, the southwest. Some outbreaks of relatively light rain as well possible overnight. Should stay dry though across more eastern areas of England. With southwesterly winds bringing in mild air, it will be a relatively mild start to the day on Thursday, but all in all, Thursday is going to be a pretty wet and windy one for most of us. The heaviest rain will be accompanied by this narrow band, these bright colours you can see here. That's going to sink southwards through the day, but it will affect much of Scotland and into Northern Ireland to start the day. Some very gusty winds associated with this band of rain. We do have a wind warning in force for much of Northern England, parts of Northern Ireland as well as southern Scotland. Further south, a more settled start to the day, but it will become increasingly unsettled through the day as this band of rain and some snow and hail behind it pushes southwards, moving into parts of Northern England, Wales and further south later on. So as I said, we do have a wind warning in force. We are expecting some disruption due to the weather, so please check before you travel. It will be a mild day though, where we do see all this cloud and rain, highs of 14 or 15 degrees for parts of the Midlands. A different feel to come on Friday, a very chilly day, particularly compared to recent days. So rain will fall as snow to relatively low levels across parts of Scotland. There'll also be showers of hail as well. Some brighter weather here and there, particularly for central areas, but the best of the brighter weather is to come for Saturday. That's looking like the drier day of the weekend. It will still be chilly though. Bye-bye.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Right, breaking news tonight. The mother of Rhiannon White, the woman who was tragically murdered by illegal migrants in a hotel last year, has spoken to this very show this evening and revealed that not a single person from the government has reached out to apologise or even just to speak to her. She told me what she wants to see from Keir Starmer.
I want all this illegal migrants stopped. This is getting ridiculous now. It's an everyday occurrence, but they keep allowing it. You know, it's not about the genuine asylum seekers. It's about the illegal migrants. They have to be stopped.
What would your message to Keir Starmer be?
I want to know why he's allowing this to happen. Why he's allowed my daughter to be taken from me, and why is he not stopping this?
Very brave woman, really, really brave, and difficult to do what she's doing, going on, speaking to politicians today in Parliament, coming on the show here tonight. So thank you very much, Siobhan, for coming on the show. Steve, I'll start with you. Siobhan, the beginning of this, of course, is that nobody's reached out to her. You know, we hear that the government's claim, Jess Phillips claims that she is happy to meet with any victims of anything like this, but she hasn't reached out. She's written to the Prime Minister, and nobody's got back to her. It all feels a little bit difficult to put into words sometimes when you think politicians really do have a duty. This is a crisis they're overseeing. They could at least sit down with the victims here and have a conversation with them about what they're trying to do to fix the situation.
Yeah, the problem is this situation is also linked to another topic that they are running from like you wouldn't believe. They don't want to have the debate about what they should be doing, what they might be failing to do in terms of migration, which is odd now, because I remember, like, back in when Ed Miliband was running for to be Prime Minister, no one dare say immigration in all the debates. And slowly since then, it's the topic that everyone talks about. But it's still the topic that people manage to avoid, like Neo in the Matrix. No one's actually getting stuck on the actual issues. People just now break into two camps of oh, you've talked about migration, you must clearly be being racist, or, you know, as if the two groups are no borders or absolutely no one migrates. This is not where the debate should be, is it? And these are additive numbers. It's not that, what's that phrase? Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. That's why I think hearing that yes, you could say, well, there are other crimes that aren't caused by migrants. These numbers add. You can solve some of them. You can make sure that you keep people safe. That's all you need to do with this issue. So, look, yes, I know the politicians should reach out. I know why they don't do, because they're trying to avoid having this sticky argument.
Yeah, it's really heartbreaking talking to her, because you can see she feels so let down, Nina. She feels that the people in power that have the authority to do something about this crisis are... And this is what she feels. I mean, I'm not saying this is government policy, because we know it's not government policy, but it's how she feels. And it's heartbreaking to see that.
I can see, and you know, it's unimaginable what she has gone through and is going through and will go through for the rest of her life. So, as a woman, I can only just have enormous sympathy and empathy for her. But the thing is, as you say, politics doesn't work like that. Jess Phillips should be meeting her if that's what she needs, and it makes her feel better. And that's what should happen. But you can't say that other politicians are any better. As you say, Kemi Badenoch didn't once ever mention a word about the rape gangs when she was Minister for Women and Equalities. Not once in the House. And she may have caught up a bit now because she realises she has to. But, you know, politicians are politicians. They're not quite human, some of them. You know, they do what's correct politically for themselves sometimes, rather than for the country, and forget that there are human beings involved who'd actually need to be treated like human beings.
No, she's an incredibly brave woman. I listened to her interview earlier. You know, I can't really imagine what she's going through. Try and empathise. I wonder about this a bit. That, you know, sometimes I think politicians get too much into actual individual cases and use individual cases. They sort of, you know, I met Brenda from Stoke-on-Trent last week, or, you know, my constituent Phil wrote into me from Newcastle upon Tyne. I assume that what people who've been through this sort of trauma want, or people who have thankfully, touch wood, avoided it but are worried about it, is a policy framework. And this goes to Steve's point, is no one is willing to open the Pandora's box of, does multiculturalism have some major downsides? Generally speaking, the government wants to keep a lid on that. And that's what's led to all of the sort of don't touch it, put it in the too difficult pile for the grooming gangs inquiry, for what we're going to do about immigration, for why we don't release more information about it. So, you know, it's not really the job of a politician to meet and sympathise with an individual, frankly, in a particular individual case, but it is the job of a politician to say, that is reflective, I believe, of a wider problem. Here's my policy framework to sort it.
And Steve, to come back to you, what Siobhan was asking for was for illegal migration to end. That's what she wants. She said, she very openly said, she doesn't mind genuine asylum seekers. But the problem therein lies that it's very hard to determine who's a genuine asylum seeker and who isn't.
What you need is, in fact, that's hitting the nail on the head, isn't it? What you need is a system that can accurately and efficiently and quite quickly identify genuine asylum seekers, the people for whom this country has a responsibility, because we've always been a good nation for that, and people who are trying to game the system, which are the reason why the numbers are so high. If you could fix that, this problem goes away. And I'm sure you can fix that, but it's painful and you've got to go through the discussion first. This nation, as you say, has to actually tackle these issues, and on the other side of that, you'd have a system that could work.
Yeah, I mean, look, the difficulty with this illegal migration issue is that there's so many different approaches to it now. There's so many different parties putting forward their plans for this. Now, I think one of the things that Siobhan said to me, Nina, was that one thing that would make her feel slightly more comfortable with the situation, if I may paraphrase slightly what she was saying, was for at least to have migrants in a detained and controlled environment. Do you think that would go some way to protect the British public?
Well, of course it would protect the British public. I mean, but that's just locking them up like in a...
Yeah, that's the ethical dilemma, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you have to treat them like human beings. They're not, you know, convicts. They shouldn't be treated as convicts. But what we do need is a Home Office that processes them quickly. We need safe routes, places abroad where they can apply, and if they don't get in, then they don't get in. They need to be processed within 3 months.
But isn't the problem here on it being illegal migrants that these people have disappeared out of the system, right? I mean, they've found their way in. They might be working in the black market economy. They're not obviously on some database to be checked out or whatever. They've found their way into the system. You know, I suspect the population of the UK is substantially higher than official statistics for exactly this reason. So, I mean, I think even when we have people within the system fails. But these people aren't even within the system. That's the problem. We've lost track of them.
Yeah, that's true, and there's plenty of evidence to show the population is far higher than it actually is. Mobile phone providers, sewage even is a good way. Supermarkets say it too. Look, coming up in just a moment's time, we'll be getting some inside stories to you very shortly. This is Patrick Christys, tonight's late edition, with me, Alex Armstrong. See you in a tick.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
A lot of fine weather at the moment across southern Europe. One exception, Italy, where there will be some heavy rain moving south next few days. A couple of showers for Greece, nothing particularly heavy or prolonged. Breezy there for Madeira into the Canaries. A lot of fine weather on Thursday for Spain, Portugal, the Balearics. For the time being, but there is some rain on the way here. Meanwhile, areas of heavy rain move south across central and into southern Italy. Some showers for Greece. Then it turns more unsettled eastern Spain into the Balearics.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
We can allow.
Stop.
We can allow.
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB Newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
All right, welcome back to Late Edition. Zach Polanski's claim that he quickly apologised for offering hypnosis to increase a woman's breast size is looking a little bit questionable tonight, isn't it? Have a look at this. Before entering politics, and we'll get to that clip in a second, but before entering politics, the Green Party leader worked as a hypnotherapist and in 2013 offered to enlarge an undercover reporter's bust by hypnosis. The stunt was written up in an article, but Polanski claims he was misrepresented and insists he never believed hypnosis could actually change someone's cup size. But in an interview with BBC Radio Humberside 6 days later, this has resurfaced. Have a look at this.
But not from last week, though, I assume.
Yes, actually, with her breast size in the Sun article, she says that she grew 4 inches. It didn't change her cup size. She stayed the same cup size, but she said it was a tighter fit.
So they actually grew?
Yep, according to a journalist.
Do you actually believe it yourself?
I think it's really interesting. When she first contacted me...
No, that wasn't the answer to the question.
Oh, sure, but the answer was coming. In terms of what I believe in lots of things, and, until I see evidence of something entirely to the contrary, it seems sensible to me to...
I really can't with this one. I really can't. I mean, where do I start? Steve, help me here. Where do I...
This is why I've always been a little bit wary about criticising Zach Polanski, in case he can sometimes stand near me, whisper in my ear, and the next thing I go up a cup size. It's worrying, isn't it? It's terrifying.
It wasn't up a cup size, it's a bit tighter, right? I think was the word. It was a tighter fit. Yeah. Was what he described.
But what are we supposed to make of it when the Green Party next tells us on a key political issue that we must follow the science? Given this seems to be the sort of science the leader of their party believes in, I don't think it's going to be very easy to take them seriously.
I'd like to hear from the woman on the panel. Go on,
but to be fair to Zach Polanski, and why on earth should I be? I have no idea. He was asked by a journalist to do this. I mean, he didn't suggest to somebody. So he was asked by a journalist to see if they did, and he's kind of equivocating afterwards. So he'll go with it. He was obviously trying to make his name in some way. And actually, I'm not saying that hypnotism works in that, and I can't imagine it would work in a physical sense. But I did have hypnotism, not for that.
Yes, fine.
Not for that.
Thank you for clarifying.
Not for that, she said quickly. To stop myself snacking between meals.
Right. Did it work?
Absolutely.
Oh, did it really?
Absolutely, yes.
I've never believed in hypnotherapy.
Oh, it does work. It does work.
Yeah.
It's a very good way of giving up smoking for a lot of people.
Okay, absolutely.
But it does not change your physical characteristics. It's a trick of the mind.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Exactly.
Right, yeah. I mean, look, I think the story here is not that he's said it, because we know he said it before. It was the fact that he said he quickly apologised after doing it and saying it, and then obviously later in interviews come out where it's appeared he's sort of doubled down on it a little bit at least. But look, I mean, it's
now he's a politician. That's why.
Now he's a politician. I think you've nailed it there, Nina. But when you become a politician, lots of things change about your opinions in the past and things you might have done. Should we move on? Should we move on from this one? I don't really know where else to take it without getting a little bit rude. Let's talk about some of the medical breakthroughs, shall we? Because on the front page of the Daily Telegraph, there's 2 medical breakthroughs, but let's start with the one on the bottom left. Pill to end hot flushes for women not on HRT. A daily pill could help 500,000 women who suffer from hot flushes but cannot take hormone replacement therapy. The National Institute for Health and Care Excellence has recommended the NHS prescribe its first non-hormonal treatment for the condition. I don't want to read out the name of that drug because I will never pronounce it correctly, but that's a great breakthrough, Nina.
It's absolutely brilliant, because this is just the most awful thing. I mean, I don't know if men can possibly understand, but you go through... it can be literally years of just suddenly your temperature just goes up and have to take your cardigan off, put it on, take it off, put it on. At night time, just waking up drenched in sweat. You know, there's no way else of describing it. And nothing helps. I mean, HRT does help, I understand, but there are some people who don't want to take HRT. There's some people for whom HRT doesn't suit. And they reckon about 500,000 women a year. So this is an absolute miracle, and I'm just very happy for women.
Yeah, we're seeing so many of these breakthroughs now. I've actually got a comment here just come through. Hot flushes are embarrassing and it's a nuisance, but it is nature and it passes. I guess there's lots of people who do see it that way, isn't there? But there's some people who can't genuinely really struggle to cope with that change in their body. Yeah. And we have ibuprofen when we feel pain. That's perfectly natural. But we take ibuprofen to subdue that pain, don't we? So
the purpose of medicine is to beat nature.
Yes.
Right, for our advantage. It's to overcome natural ailments. I mean, look, good news. And look, let me give you a sort of cheerful thought, a sort of prediction, if you like. I think medicine could be on the verge of having exponential breakthroughs. My grandparents, possibly my parents' generation, transport was the big breakthrough. We went from horse and cart to putting man on the moon within 2 generations. Probably the last 20 or 30 years, communications has been the big breakthrough. It could now be medicine.
Well, I'd love to get your thoughts, Steve, but we ran out of time, unfortunately. All right, so sorry about that, mate. Listen, let's go through your pages one more time. The Daily Express. PM was warned on reputation risk of hiring Mandelson. The Daily Mirror. Mandelson demanded 500 grand payoff. The Guardian. PM was told of reputation risk over Mandelson to Epstein. The Sun. For Pete's sake, PM. The Metro. 500 grand to walk away. The Independent. Mandelson Papers. Starmer did ignore Epstein warnings. The I Paper. Mandelson was shown secret files before weirdly rushed vetting. The Mail. Not fit to lead the country. The Times. PM flouted Mandelson warnings. The Daily Telegraph. Starmer ignored top aides over Mandelson. Listen, thank you so much for joining me the last, 8, 9 days? I've been seeing you here covering for Patrick. Patrick will be back very soon. I will not be here tomorrow. I'm going to have a lie-in, perhaps, and then I'll be back Friday morning for Britain's Newsroom, and of course back on the weekend for my usual. I will be going to that Al Quds confined protest on Sunday, so very interesting stuff. I will see you there. But up next, it's The Late Show Live, hosted by the one and only Bev Turner.
Everything you need to enjoy a super summer could be on us this year, as you could drive away with this very latest Benivan 4-berth camper van. This camper van is fully equipped with its own kitchen, bathroom, dinette and plenty of storage. We'll also get your summer sorted with a further £25,000 in tax-free cash that you could spend however you like. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in